Thank you very much for your warm welcome and introduction. It is my great pleasure and honor to participate in this wonderful conference that you have organized. And I would like to talk about the education for the age of ecology. The modern education was designed to fit for the age of industrial revolution. People were farmers and they were working on the land. Industry in the cities needed these workers to manage and also organize office workers, bankers, and then production sold in shops. So business leaders. So everything was designed for the economy. Economic growth in the end. Now we are coming into 21st century where human-nature relationship is becoming very critical and very important. The industrial revolution of last 150, 200 years has brought many advantages to humanity, but at the same time, it has brought devastating impact on the natural world. The biodiversity is diminishing. Our oceans are polluted with plastic. Our land is managed very poorly. The agriculture has become cruel. If you look at the factory farms, where tens or hundreds of thousands of animals, cows, pigs, chickens, kept in cruel conditions, then our land is becoming monoculture agriculture. We are encroaching the wildlife and wild habitat, destroying the rainforests to grow soya there, mass-produced large-scale farming with a lot of chemicals, fertilizers, pesticide, huge tractors and combined harvesters. So we are treating nature like a colony. It's a kind of human colonialism that we have developed over the last 100 years. And that is causing not only destruction of biodiversity and pollution of soil and oceans and water and air, but creating climate change, global warming. And still our young people are being prepared, educated, and trained to come out of the universities and schools and colleges to maintain this industrial monocultural system of economy which produces waste and pollution. So I would say that the present educational system is unfit for the need of the future, need of our time. It has become out of date. So we need a new kind of education which responds to the need of our time, and that is how we live in harmony with the natural world, how we have a kind of relationship with the natural world which is based on mutuality and reciprocity and respect and reverence for nature and reverence for life. This is the great challenge of our time. At the moment, in the present educational system, when a student comes to a university or college, I'm talking about the mainstream educational system, maybe not the Glasgow School of Art, where you have a much more creative and imaginative system, but in the mainstream system, even big universities like Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, Yale, Sorbonne, University of Delhi, Beijing, Moscow, all these big universities. When the student come there, the lecturers and the teachers look at the student and they think subconsciously that young people have no body. They have no body. They have only brain. They have no hands. They have no hearts. They have no legs. Education is not relevant to heart, hands, legs, body, only relevant to the head, the brain. So they look at the student and they see this student is only brain, only head. And even that brain is empty brain, empty head. And so the teacher's job is to fill that empty brain, empty head of the young person with lots of information and lots of technology and lots of ideas as how to create, build, and sustain the industrial economy, which increases more production, more consumption, so that some big companies can make big profit, big money movement, and economic growth. And we give some nice names to those economic growth, production, consumption, profit, and so on. Nice names like progress, development, and even sometimes we call them sustainable development. But these are only words. The underlying theme of education is to fill the brain so that you are trained and prepared to fit in the market and help to make the economy grow, more production and more consumption. And you as human being, we as human beings become the instrument of making profit, making money for the big corporations, the big industry. And also nature. We are taught in our schools and universities that nature is a resource for the economy. The value of nature, the value of land, animals, forests, is only how useful they are to humans and human economy. Not human welfare, not human well-being, not human creativity, not human imagination, but human economy, production and consumption, industrial economy. So we use nature and value nature only in terms of its usefulness to industrial economy for production and consumption. And so nature has become a means to an end. Humans have become a means to an end. So we call natural resources and we call human resources. Now this is the ecological challenge that we face today. We need to transform this education into education, a new pedagogy, where when a student comes to the university or school or college, teachers should look at this person not just as an empty brain, but as a whole person. An education of the whole person, whole body, whole mind. So education of head, education of heart, and education of hands. So I call it new pedagogy of education of head, education of heart, and education of hands. And when you train the whole person, then economy is in the service of the person or the humanity or the human society, and not humanity in the service of the economy. So the new educational system, which I'm advocating and presenting to you, is educational system where we change that means and end paradigm, and what humans have become the means to end of production, consumption, and economic growth. We change that around and we say economy, production, consumption, profit, money, growth, all those are for humans. Humans are the end. Human welfare, human well-being, human creativity, human imagination, human satisfaction, human fulfillment, these are the goals. And production, consumption, economic growth, profit, big business, they are all that means to an end. The end is human welfare. And then same way we change the nature. Nature is not a resource for the economy. Full stop. Nature is not a resource for the economy. Nature is source of life itself. Nature is life itself. And humans and nature are not even separate. The old paradigm of education has looked at nature as separate from humans. We say the nature is out there. The trees, the mountains, the forests, the oceans, the rivers, the animals, the birds, the insects, all that is nature. But we humans are not nature. We are separate from nature. And we are in charge of nature. We are owners of nature. We own the forests. We own the land. We own the rivers. We own the animals. We are the owners. So humans have become the owners, and not all humans, but some big companies or big landlords. So maybe one landlord family may have 20,000 acres or 50,000 acres. If you go to Australia, their farms and fields are miles and miles long, maybe a whole district. And so we humans become the owners of nature, and nature becomes a resource for the economy. So the new education for the age of ecology changes that perception and says nature and humans are one. Humans and nature are not resources, but taking care of nature, integrity of nature, protection of nature, conservation of nature is the goal. And all our activities should be in the enhancement and well-being of as people, but also as nature. The moment we change this paradigm, then I would say this is the education, the pedagogy for the age of ecology. Now, our educational system is only, as I said, brain, and therefore no hand, no heart. In new educational system, every school and every college and every university have a few new features. Number one, they will be small. Small is beautiful even when it comes to universities and schools and colleges. At the moment, sometimes the universities will have 20,000 students, 30,000 students, 50,000 students. Schools and universities have become like factories, knowledge factories. In the ecological educational system, our universities should be smaller, our colleges should be smaller, our schools should be smaller, and they will be more like human communities, not institutions, but communities, where students and teachers form a community and keep like a family. So many small universities, like I started Schumacher College. Schumacher College has a maximum number of 40 students. And then if you want to create another college, start another one. Like you have a small families, you don't make one big family of 100, 200, 500 people, but you make a family of father, mother, children, and a few brothers and uncles and aunts, maybe a joint family, but a small family, but many millions of families. In the same way, many millions of schools and colleges and universities. And so small is beautiful will be one principle of new education for the age of ecology. Secondly, it will not be simply an intellectual academic knowledge. Of course, we need head, we need brain, we need education for intellect and education for rationality and scientific methodology. All that is fine, but not at the expense of all other faculties of life. So these communities of schools and universities, small scale, will have relationship among people. So cultivating compassion. There is a wonderful course at the University of Bristol where they are teaching education in happiness. Also same in Bhutan. In Bhutan, they have schools and universities where they have a course on happiness. And happiness is not just an intellectual idea, but how to be happy. Compassion, kindness, generosity, caring for each other. Those are the heart qualities. They should be part of university system and school system and educational system. And so education of heart and how to live with each other and how to be kind and compassionate and generous should be part of our learning. Like if you are in a monastery, in a monastic order, you are taught about principles of truth and nonviolence and love and compassion and kindness and generosity. Those qualities are human qualities. Humility is a human quality. We have to learn how to be humble and how to cooperate and how to work together and how to support each other. Mutuality, reciprocity, these things have to be learned. So education of heart will be as part of the educational system. And then education of hands, creativity. Every school, every college, every university, in my vision of an ecological education, will have farms, workshops, kitchens, where people will be able to learn how to grow food, how to build a house, how to make something, and how to be an artist, how to be a craftsman, how to be a designer, how to be a craftswoman, a potter, a painter, a dancer, a musician, a builder, a farmer. All these qualities have to come back, because at the moment, our globalized economy is creating so much pollution, and even it's becoming very fragile. At the moment, there's a big ship, Green Ever ship, half a mile long ship stuck in Suez Canal, and that is blocking hundreds of other ships on both sides. So this global economy is very fragile, and it can, any one little problem like that can create havoc. And so the ecological paradigm will have much more emphasis on local economy and local self-sufficiency, so that our dependence on global transportation of goods and services will be minimal. 10%, 20% of trade will be global, and 80 to 90% of trade will be as local as possible. European, British, Scottish, local. And this way, we will have less infrastructure. So many roads, so many airports, so many seaports, so many railways, so many train stations. We are creating so much infrastructure, which is taking resources from nature. Because all those infrastructures have to come from somewhere, and they are coming from the nature. And nature is limited. We are living on a finite earth, finite world. We cannot have infinite growth in economy, infinite growth in infrastructure. And therefore, if every country in the world had motorways and highways and railways and seaports and airports and shopping centers and shopping malls, all that will create a havoc on nature. So we have to make a smaller footprint on planet Earth. In our new educational system, we have to educate ourselves and our young people to have a lighter footprint on planet Earth, lighter impact on planet environment, and still live good life, still live a joyful, contented, and abundant life. So, so the new education for the age of ecology is not about hair shirt living, or living in poverty, or living in deprivation, or living in subjugation. It is not like that. It is a new way of life where we use the abundance of nature in its own way. But for example, if you plant one seed in the ground, a seed of an apple tree, that one seed will produce the tree which will give us thousands of apples for 50 years to come, 40 years to come, depending on the kind of tree you have. I planted in my orchard apple trees, and from one seed, you can create a whole orchard. That is abundance of nature. So there is enough in the world for everybody's need, but not enough for anybody's greed and pollution and waste. At the moment, the curse of industrial civilization and industrial education is that we are producing enormous waste and enormous pollution. So ecological paradigm and ecological education is to minimize or eliminate altogether the waste and pollution and create economy like economy of nature. Economy of nature is circular. You take from the soil, you take nourishment from the rain, you take sunshine and warmth from the sun, and you become a tree. And then when the tree is old and the leaves fall in the autumn, then that becomes soil again. This circular economy is the economy of nature. And so human economy, industrial economy, also has to be a circular economy to eliminate all waste altogether. And so there's enough in nature for everybody's need, enough for food, clothes, shoes, housing, but they have to be dependent on local resources and without waste and pollution. If we can create that education so that every school and university will have training for people to be imaginative, to be creative. At the moment, our university system and education system is almost eliminating the place of the imagination. There's no chance. Everything is given to you on a plate, almost like a stale knowledge from your computers and books and all the kind of internet, and all the information is there. There's very little room, a little chance to use our imagination. Each and every student have very little chance. And your Glasgow School of Arts may be different because you are an exception, and there are very few schools like yours. But the mainstream educational system allows very little room for the imagination and creativity. And then when you go out of the universities and schools and work in a big company, big shopping center, big corporation, multinationals, very little room for imagination and creativity. Each and every one of us have to follow hundreds, not thousands of rules and regulations, and everything is defined, what to do, how to do, when to do, everything is laid out for you. Very little room for the imagination and creativity. So the new educational system I'm advocating, a new pedagogy for the ecological worldview I'm advocating, will have a lot of room, because when you are small scale, human scale community, then you have a lot of room for imagination, creativity, dialogue, and changing rules, making new rules as you go along. So this is the kind of new system that I would like to see. And I would like to see art not as a specialist subject, where a few people go to Glasgow School of Art or the Goldsmith College, which is part of this this event, and many other small Royal Academy of Arts or something like that. A few select schools become art schools, and then a few people in society, maybe 1% or 2% or 5% of people, become artists, musicians, painters, dancers, and craftspeople. And then 95% of people are just ordinary people living ordinary life without art, without craft, without imagination, without creativity, just wage workers. I would like to change that. In the new educational system, each and every one of us has opportunity to be an artist. An artist is not a special kind of person, but every person has a potential to be a special kind of artist. So we all have to live our lives with imagination, creativity, and artistic methodology. So then everything what we do is transformed into art and a craft. So even our gardening is not just a Monty Don's great gardening on the BBC, where he acts like an artist and creates art of gardening, or art of cooking. It's not just a few great chefs like Hugh Funley-Whittingstall or somebody like that who are creating wonderful dishes of food, but every one of us become creative and imaginative cooks. So art of cooking, art of gardening, art of making clothes, art of making shoes, art of building a beautiful house, which is sustainable, ecological, natural, comfortable, warm, a beautiful house. Building, we need to build, not this mass-produced industrial housing where everything is just monocultural. We want to have this diversity of cultures, diversity of artistic expression. And so when you build houses, each house which has a personality of the builder and the architect and the people who live in it. So that kind of new, rich and vibrant and a creative future for the ecological way of life, that I would like to see, so that every person comes out of the university and wants to live like an artist and make everything, participate in making anything which is artistic, craftsman, and has imagination, has creativity. So living imaginatively, living creatively, living artistically is not for the few elite small numbers of people, and their art is in the galleries or in the concert halls or in the museums, and their ordinary life is ugly and has no beauty and no creativity. So we had exiled the beauty and imprisoned the beauty almost into galleries and museums and concert halls and a few places. And the ordinary life has become ugly and lacking beauty. So I would like to see this new education, new pedagogy for the age of ecology brings beauty back in our lives, brings creativity back in our lives, and our shops and our restaurants and our petrol stations and our business parks and our industrial estates, they all become beautiful and beautifully built. Not so our new educational system, which I'm advocating, will emphasize not so much on the quantities of production, but the qualities of produce. We have made a big shift, big transformation from the idea of quantitative production and consumption to qualitative production and consumption. The moment you shift from quantity to quality, you make a big shift. And that's a shift from the industrial age education to the education for the age of ecology and age of sustainability. And in that ecology, we will have a regenerative, the new idea of age of ecology is to create a regenerative system, regenerative economy, regenerative agriculture, regenerative our business and industry. Everything we do should be regenerative, because that's a circular economy of nature is regenerative. It creates and so whatever we have used goes back into compost and it becomes back soil, back into nature, and recreates and regenerates our economy. So these are some of the ideas that I would like to see in this new educational system. Schumacher College, which I founded in 1991, is celebrating 30th anniversary this year. And we have launched an essay competition called Education as if People and Planet Matter. And I would like you to visit Schumacher College website and look at this Education as if People and Planet Matter essay competition. The first prize is £5,000. Second prize is £2,000. And third prize is £1,000. So there are 3 prizes. And I would like you to look into this best essay competition. And we are looking for new ideas, new proposals, how to transform our educational system, which is serving the interest of economic growth in production and consumption, which is a model of the industrial age, and transform it into education as if people and planet matter. Not profit, not economic growth, not production consumption, but people come first, nature comes first, people and planet oriented education. That is our vision. So if you would like to join and this essay competition and put some new ideas and essay and new proposals for transforming education, you are very welcome. Please look at our website. And again, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak in this conference with my new radical ideas about education for the age of ecology. Thank you very much. And I look forward to hearing some of your questions. Thank you. Bye-bye.